Your faith must be in the blood. Blood of Jesus is something the devil cannot stand. Whenever you speak of the blood of Jesus, you're speaking of what Jesus Christ has done in redemption. As a matter of fact, the blood of Jesus is Jesus himself.
When you hear the word of God, you have a divine opportunity. It's a divine opportunity. A divine opportunity for a new beginning. How do new things start? God sends a word. When he sends a word, he's about to do a new thing.
God's plan for your life predates your birth. God has a plan for every man and woman on earth. Somebody say, I'm ready to soak in the word. Hallelujah. Glory to God. You may be seated in God's presence in Jesus. Let's celebrate the music team. Amen. Praise the Lord. You can do better than that. Celebrate the music team. Amen. Praise Jesus. Hallelujah. Glory to God. You know, so we've had a teaching this morning already on how to make marital choices, right marital choices. Is one decision you don't want to get wrong. A man of God said the second thing next to hell is to be in a bad marriage on earth. All right? You want to get it right. Tell your neighbor, say, get it right, and keep getting better at it. Say to somebody, say, get it right, and keep getting better at it. So I'm going to share quickly this morning, all right, what do you do in courtship? For those who are in courtship, this is primarily for you. And for those who are married, this will also help your marriage, because sometimes what you did in courtship, you now stop doing it after you're married. But some of those things are important to keep your marriage stronger and healthier. You see, in scriptures, we do not have so many examples of courtship in the Bible. Have you noticed that Adam and Eve were not in courtship? Have you noticed that Abraham and Sarah did not do courtship? At least none that we know of. There are not so many examples of courtship in the Bible. The closest we have is Joseph and Mary, and it was a saga. How many of you would like to have that kind of courtship where your beloved just calls you one day and says, well, I am pregnant, and you know you didn't do anything? How many of you welcome and say, well, God works in mysterious ways, his wonders to perform. Blessed be the name of the Lord. I'm sure you're not going to take that. But you see, we have instructions in scriptures that guide us where courtship is concerned. Apostle Paul gives us some insight. In 1 Corinthians chapter 7, from verse 36, Paul says, but if any man think that he behaveth himself uncomely toward his virgin, if she pass the flower of her age. Now, that entire phrase is quite a mouthful. If she pass the flower of her age. The flower of her age is one Greek word, uparakmos. All right? And what that means is that she's of full age, or it simply means that she's past the bloom, that she's mature, physically mature, speaking now, that Paul is talking about. He says, let him do what he will. He said, he sinneth not. Let them marry. In other words, now he actually helps us understand what he meant when he says let him do what he will. So it's not a blank statement. So what he will is in the context, and he tells us what it is. He says let them marry. So that somebody will not hear that and say, Paul said do what he will. And so you just start doing stupid things. Say your neighbor, say read the Bible well. Come on, tell them, say read the Bible well. And hear what the word of God is saying. All right. What he will in this context is for him to what? Marry. Is for him to marry her. So in other words, Paul is trying to show us by implication that courtship is for mature people. Courtship is for mature people. Courtship is for mature people. If you are a boy or a girl and you are not yet mature, you don't need to be in courtship. You don't need to be in courtship. Courtship is for mature people. And maturity, there are many things to measure maturity by. Of course, the physical maturity is something, all right, but it's not everything. The maturity of the mind, the maturity which is the development of that person's mind. Usually, I always say this, and that is basically what you will measure by the ability to make right choices of their own. All right? You want to know how mature a person is in their mind, you check their decision making. Can they make decisions of their own now? Not decisions somebody made for them, but decisions of their own. All right? A person who cannot make a decision of their own and stand by it is not a mature person. And you've got to understand that. You see, your entire life is an aggregate of your choices. Your entire life is an aggregate of your choices. You are born again today because you made a choice. It's because you made a choice. If you are serving Jesus today, it's because you made a choice. If you are not serving Jesus, unfortunately, you've also made a choice not to serve the Lord. You see Joshua saying, choose ye this day whom ye will serve. It's a choice. It's a choice. Did you see that? And you got to understand that one of the major ways your choices show you're mature is that they are independent. Did you see that? Independent in the sense that it is not somebody pushing you to make a choice. It is you making up your mind to do whatever it is that you are doing. For example, why are you in church today? It has to be that you chose to be in church because you are mature enough to know the reasons, the purpose of coming to church. Can you see that? Not that you are still a push around. You see, because marriage is a choice that you will have to make and live by for the rest of your life. And so if you don't make choices of your own, then you're not ready. So you shouldn't be in courtship. So you measure a person's maturity in their mind by their ability to make choices and by their ability to stand by their choices. What does it mean to stand by your choices? It simply means that whatever comes as a consequence of your choices, you will take responsibility for it. That whatever happens as a result of your choices, you will take full responsibility. Like they say in today's parlance, you will own it with your full chest. You will take it that, yes, it's my choice. Whatever happens, I did it. I chose it. I went there. I said it. I invested the money there. I chose to be with them. Did you see that? That is what is called maturity. If a person finds who to blame when consequences of his choices arise, he is a baby. I say it again. If a person is always looking for who to blame for the consequences of his own choices or our own choices, then they are still babies. They are not mature people. Good or bad, a mature person will take responsibility for his decision. Good or bad, a mature person will take responsibility for her own decision. And so you've got to understand how to measure that. Some of you today are in courtship with babies. Because of what I've told you right now, you can situate the person and you can tell this guy hardly ever takes responsibility. If they are blaming somebody or blaming events or blaming whatever, do you see? But not taking responsibility for the consequences of their choices, they are immature. It doesn't matter how much beards they have. They are immature. A major mark of maturity, therefore, is taking responsibility for the outcome of your choices. Did you see that? Taking responsibility for the outcome of your choices. Another way to measure maturity, now you will see this in my book I read about 3 years ago, all right, Making It Work. Another way to measure maturity is, can the person make their own money, manage their own money, and multiply their own money? I'll say it again. Can you make, manage, and multiply your own money? You cannot, like Mom said earlier on, it takes finance to run romance. You cannot run your romance on someone else's finance. A person who is still depending on pocket money from home should not be in courtship. Should not be in courtship. Love gives. But hear this, love gives its own things. So if you don't have your own things, you have no business in a love affair. I'll say it again, love gives its own things. Because if what you are giving is not your own, it may not be love. What makes your giving a giving of love is because what you are giving belongs to you. You worked for it. You earned it. So if you didn't earn it, all right, and you are giving it, it may not come from your heart. Hear me. Money actually represents your life. Because to make that money, you put your life to work. And that's why it's truly a measure of whether a person truly loves you, whether they are generous to you or not. If the person is not generous to you, they don't love you. Whoever loves you is generous to you with his own things. Because when he gives you his own things, he is sharing his life with you. Because it took him life to get those things. That's why they call it 9 to 5 jobs. That 9 to 5 represents your time of your life. You can't get it back. So it means you put that time of your life to earn that money, to earn those resources. So whoever you share those resources with, you are sharing your life with them. And a person who is not mature enough to make, manage, and multiply their own money is not fit or mature enough for courtship or for marriage. And so there are people who make money, but they can't manage it. So he earns good money, but he wastes the money. He's still not well mature for a relationship. Because the way he wastes his money, he will waste your own too. The way you waste your money, you will waste the money of the person you marry. So you must master those three. You make, you manage, and you can multiply your own money. It's a mark of maturity. Tell your neighbor, say it's a mark of maturity. And I know the message is getting a little hard now, but we left a love note under your chair. Look for it. There is a love note. Everybody check under your chair so that it can help you along the line as this message is hitting you in the hard places. See what your own note says. What does it tell you? It's a cushioning effect. Read your own love note to your neighbor. What does it say to you? What does it say to you now? Oh, dear Lord. Wonderful. I believe it has rubbed you a little bit and made you feel a little more comfortable. So let's continue. Hallelujah. Glory to God. Better believe what that note is saying because it's true. I said it is true. Come on, I said it is true. So we look at maturity in these things. Did you see? I mentioned ability to make decisions and own your decisions. I mentioned ability to make your own money. Did you see that? Another one is you know a mature person by their control of their time. Their control of their time. Does the person have control over their time? And you yourself, do you have control over your time? Do you see? Do you have control over your time? You can be in courtship and your reason for not being able to spend quality time with your beloved is because, oh, they send you on errand. You know, the time you are calling me, I'm supposed to be washing plates at that time. You are not yet supposed to be in courtship because you are still a dependent. You don't have control over your time. You know, some of the factors that affects your control over time is the fact that you are either dependent on somebody, living under somebody's roof, somebody is paying your bills, somebody is, you know, in charge of your accommodation, your escorter and all that. Because you cannot live in somebody's house and still have control over your time. You cannot. You will begin to have control over your time when you have your own house that you paid for. But when you are living under someone else's roof, you can't say you have your own time. You can't leave my house and then I call you to help me do something. You say you are busy. Busy doing what? You can't be busy. That's why truly you see us saying that a brother who says he wants to enter courtship with a lady will ask you, do you have your own accommodation? Because it's going to affect a lot of things. Your control of time is what makes, you see, because love is a choice. If you have no control over your time, you cannot manage and sustain that choice of who you love. So maturity also is that you have control of your time. So we're going to look at some instructions that the Word of God gives to singles who want to get into courtship and even those who don't want to get into courtship. Number one, flee youthful lust. Flee youthful lust. And these instructions are for the mature ones. In other words, as you begin to take these instructions seriously, it shows your level of maturity. Flee youthful lust. 2 Timothy 2 verse 22. 2 Timothy 2 verse 22. Flee also youthful lust, Paul is saying to Timothy, but follow righteousness, faith, charity, peace with them that call on the Lord out of a pure heart. It's very simple. It means, therefore, that if you are not pursuing or imitating those who follow righteousness, faith, charity, peace, did you see that? Out of a pure heart, you will definitely be burdened with youthful lust. Because your life cannot be a vacuum. So Paul is saying flee youthful lust, but he tells him how. The way to flee youthful lust is to have the right examples in front of you and to follow them. Did you see that? I'll read it again to you, 2 Timothy 2:22. Flee also youthful lust, but follow righteousness, faith, charity, peace with them that call on the Lord out of a pure heart. And that tells you, as a single person, you should ensure you have the right examples in your association. Right examples of believers who model to you these things Paul says. Who model to you a life of righteousness. Who model to you a life of faith. Who model to you a life of charity. That's love. That is the love walk. Who model to you a life of peace. Did you see that? Out of a pure heart. Out of a pure heart. In other words, you cannot do these two at the same time. You are either imitating those who model these virtues, or you are busy with youthful laws. So we all see now that we must be examples of the believer. Because it means, therefore, that single people need a lot of examples. Tell your neighbor for me, say, be that example. I wish you could talk like your voice is yours this morning. Say, be that example, be that example. Okay, now you tell your neighbor, say, I will be that example. Say, I choose to be that example for youth to follow, for single people to follow, for my friends to follow, for my family to follow. Can you shout amen, somebody? Give me 3 hallelujah, celestial one. Come on, let me hear you. You are alive in service today. Come on now. So that's the first instruction. Paul says, flee youthful lust. Number 2, watch your associations. Watch your associations. Run away from wrong company. Run away from wrong company. There are certain companies you got to run away from. And the reason is because these things will influence your marriage eventually. I've said it emphatically in the last couple of weeks that once access is established, influence is inevitable. And I'll tell you one thing, there is no human being God has made that is impervious to influence. So the issue is not whether or not you're going to be influenced. The question is, what influence will you allow in your life? And that's why you see the instructions in the scripture are not to tell us to isolate or try to insulate ourselves from any influence at all. Rather, the instruction is for us to choose the right influences of our lives. And Paul says in 1 Corinthians 15:33, be not deceived. Evil communication corrupt good manners. In this series in February, I think 2 Sundays ago, I already explained this text. Paul is talking about those who said that there is no resurrection of the dead. Did you see that? And Paul says if they keep teaching that kind of thing and you hang out with them, they will corrupt you. Hear me today. Your doctrinal persuasion is a matter of influence. Your doctrinal persuasion is a matter of influence. I believe in divine healing because I've been influenced by people who believe in it. And I found it to be true in the Bible. I believe that salvation is eternal because I've been influenced by those who teach it. And I've checked in the Bible, I found it to be so. Some may never recover from wrong influence even when they read it in the Bible that it's not so. You got to be careful who influences you. You got to be careful. I believe God's will is prosperity. It came by influence. What kind of influence? The people I read. The people I hear. Kenneth E. Hagin. I hear what I'm saying. And there are those who preach against it. And there are people who have been influenced by them. And they keep struggling in life. So you got to be careful. Paul is saying to them, don't say, I'm so sound. It doesn't matter what they say. Paul is saying, listen, no matter how sound you are. This is the Corinthian church. Paul's children. 1 Corinthians 4. He called them his children. They were his spiritual offspring. Trained by his teachings. Brought up on his doctrine. Yet Paul warns them and says, listen, no matter how sound you are, if you keep company with those preaching heresy, it will catch up with you. You see, whoever you listen to long enough, whatever has a hold of them will get a hold of you. Whatever has a hold of them will get a hold of you. If it is unbelief, it's coming to get you. It's coming to get you. If it's heresy, it's coming to get you. If it's false spirits, familiar spirits, it's coming to get you. So be careful with your association. If it is materialism, it's coming for you. If it's the extremity that leads people to poverty, it's going to get you. Look for people who are balanced. Look for people who are balanced. Don't make friends with extremists. Extremism destroys people's lives. That's why Putin is doing the madness that he's doing right now. Extremity will destroy your life. In case you don't know what's going on in the world, go and watch your TV when you get home. The end of such men is clear, is certain. It will end like Hitler. But what pushes a man to that point? Extremity. Either you're reading things from extreme people or hearing what they're saying or hanging out around them is going to get a hold of you. Always stay with balanced people. Why do you think I mention Kenneth Hagin all the time? I don't know anybody more balanced than him. Not yet. You hear in all these teachings saying, we've got to be careful not to go to either extremes. We've got to stay in the middle of a road. Some very mischievous fellow said, if you stay in the middle of the road, car will jam you. Car didn't jam again. Car will not jam us. That's the safe place to be. Balanced. Tell your neighbor, say, be balanced. 1 Timothy chapter 6. 1 Timothy chapter 6. And we read verse 5. Another instruction about association. Paul says, perverse disputings of men of corrupt minds and destitute of the truth, supposing that gain is godliness. From such, Paul says, withdraw thyself. That is the extremity of prosperity message. Where people now begin to measure godliness by what they have, material things they have. That's extreme. God wants us to have things, but he doesn't want things to have us. 1 Timothy 6:17, I quoted earlier as we were giving our offerings. He said we should not be high-minded, not to trust in uncertain riches, but in the living God who gives us richly all things to enjoy. You do see, even that verse in itself is a message of balance. He says, don't trust in what you have. Trust in the God who gave you that thing. He gave it for you to enjoy, not for you to exalt. Don't exalt the things God gives to you. God gave them to you for you to enjoy. I told you the right order of prosperity. Number 1 is your assignment. Number 2 is your obligation. Number 3 is your enjoyment. Your enjoyment is the last of it. It's the least. If you put enjoyment first, you become a self-centered, selfish human being. Assignment must be the priority in your mind where material prosperity is concerned. Because you need the resources to carry out your assignment. So that must be your drive. Why do you want a new car? Why do you want a new house? Why do you want a better job and earn so much more money? I hear some of the folks in the church speak, and I'm so excited about it. Just yesterday, one of the leaders was saying to me, and he said, Dad, he's been contemplating quitting the job and getting another one. And, in this place, we do all things as led. And he's taken out a whole week to pray and fast. Took a leave from work to make that kind of decision. Some other folks somewhere will just decide and just up and leave. We have not so learned Christ because we know we've been bought with a price. We check with God before we make major decisions of our lives. And he said to me, Dad, one of the things that dawned on me as I was praying this week is that I realized that this job I've been doing does not even give me enough time to serve God. In this century, a young man is talking like that. In a century where everybody is thinking about how much money they can get. But somebody is thinking first of all about how much time he needs to serve God. Tell your neighbor, say, think like that. Don't be led by dollars. Be led by the Spirit of God. I didn't hear your yes, sir. Tell your neighbor, say, don't be led by dollars. Be led by the Spirit of God. And we've had many such cases in this church. Some people who got jobs that will pay them crazy money. And the first thing was not, wow, I don't blow. No, the first thing was, is this God's will? Not every open door is God's door. Some are the devil's trap in disguise. Because not everything that is good is God. Even though God is good, yet not every good thing is God. The devil can use a good thing to get you. Even though good things don't originate from him, but he can lay hold of a good thing and use it to destroy a person's life. So always be careful not to follow something just because it's good. You got to check whether it is coming from God or not. Now, concerning association, I'll give you an example in the Bible. In 2 Samuel 13, a guy called Amnon, so that you will understand when we say that the people you keep company with are going to influence your life. They are waiting at the major points of decision in your life to influence the choices you're going to make. And that's the reason why you've got to be careful who you associate with. It's not about just what you do with them today. It's about the fact that as you associate with a person, that person is being positioned to be your point of influence at the point of decision making in life. And so hear what the Bible says in 2 Samuel chapter 13, verse 1 to 3. And it came to pass after this that Absalom, the son of David, had a fair sister. Fair sister means beautiful sister, whose name was Tamar. And Amnon, the son of David, loved her. In other words, he had emotional feelings for her. And Amnon was so vexed that he fell sick for his sister Tamar. Tell your neighbor, say, this is a dangerous passion. I wish I had people who could preach with me this morning. Say, it's a dangerous passion. For she was a virgin. And Amnon thought it hard for him to do anything to her. So notice, he had these feelings, but he knew in his heart that it's not a feeling to act on. So in all of his thoughts, he didn't find any way to express this thing. In other words, he was still trying to keep it in and master it. However, read the next verse. But Amnon had a friend. That phrase, you must pay attention to it. But Amnon had a friend. Do you have a friend? And what kind of friend do you have? Because notice, the guy has some contemplations on his mind. He's been contemplating on this thing. And right in his mind, from what scripture tells us, he found it hard to do anything about it. Unfortunately, he had a friend, and it was a bad friend. But Amnon had a friend who was rightly positioned to influence his decision at this point, whose name was Jonadab, the son of Shimeah, David's brother. And Jonadab, here the description, was a very subtle man, the same way the serpent was described in the book of Genesis chapter 3. Amnon had a bad friend who was like the devil. If you keep Satan around you, he's waiting for an opportune season in your life to exert his influence on you so that you make a choice that will destroy your life. You read the story down the line when you get home. Of course, you must have heard the story well, that this guy here, Jonadab, influenced Amnon to make a choice, raped his sister. The sister died, and of course, the sons of David, they came for vengeance. And this was a decision that led to the untimely death of this young man, Amnon. Hear me. You can have a friend that will take you to the grave before your time. And you can have a friend that will cause the grace of God to multiply in your life so you can fulfill your destiny. The cost of friendship can actually mean life or death sometimes, as you can see in this case. So you've got to be careful who you keep around you. When the chips are down, you will usually fall back on your associations. At the major points in everybody's life, your decisions will be on the strength of the influences you have allowed into your life. Your decisions will be on the strength of the influences you have surrounded yourself with. So surround yourself with good people. Don't surround yourself with Jonadab, who is a subtle man like the devil. Don't surround yourself with Jezebel. Same thing happened. Ahab lusted after the property of Naboth. And the Bible tells us the man was vexed in his soul. He didn't know what to do, but he had a bad wife who told him, I'm going to get it for you at all costs. If you surround yourself with a Jezebel, you will become a murderer one day. You see, bad friends make good people become bad. Bad friends make good people to become bad. Beware of friends who weaken your Christian conviction, who weaken your consecration, who tell you your own is too much. Is it only you that is a Christian? Are you the only one that is called? Are you the only believer in this generation? You're taking it too seriously. Beware of people like that. Misery always looks for company. There are people who are backsliding. There are people who don't care much about their walk with God anymore, so they are looking for others to join them. Tell your neighbor, say, don't join them. Don't join them. Don't join them. Don't join them. We are also told not to be unequally yoked with unbelievers. 2 Corinthians 6:14. Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers, for what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion hath light with darkness? So he calls the believer righteousness. He calls the unbeliever unrighteousness. He calls the believer light. He calls the unbeliever darkness. And the believer is light. Ephesians 5:8. He said, ye were once darkness, but now are ye light in the Lord. So walk as children of light. So you are light. The unbeliever is darkness. You can't mix them. You cannot. So we are not to unequally yoke ourselves to unbelievers. But I'll tell you another category or a few more categories of people you should not be unequally yoked with. Don't yoke yourself with a lustful person. Remember, Paul says to Timothy to flee youthful lust. So if he tells you to flee youthful lust, then you shouldn't yoke yourself with lustful people. Lustful for sexual immorality, lustful for materialism, lustful for the things of life at the expense of serving God. Don't be unequally yoked with unserious people. NFA. Do you remember that acronym? Let me tell your neighbor what it means. No future ambition. Do you have ambition for your life? Are you going somewhere? Do you have a dream? Do you have a destination in mind? So don't yoke yourself with unserious people. People who are always working on something that nobody else can see. You say, what are you doing now? I'm working on something. I'm working on something. Where is it? Don't worry. When I finish, you will see it. Run for your life. Run for your life. Don't yoke yourself with people like that. Last category. Don't yoke yourself with carnal Christians. Carnal Christians. They say, this is your church. They preach too long. 1.5 hours teaching. Why? That's a carnal Christian. You are facing a full-time devil in life. You can't be a part-time Christian. You need to be fully loaded. Very loaded. Wait until we get full property, full exclusivity. We'll start doing Sunday evening service. I teach you in the morning, you come in the evening, I load you again. Before you go on Monday to face the devils at work. Because you spend the whole week mingling with people, you don't know what kind of spirit is carrying them. You know, as we're driving around yesterday morning, I couldn't help but remember one day I was at a particular spot around Agege there, a few years ago, and there was an argument between, an Agbero and some guys like that, and somebody brought out charm like this. And he was going to use it to hit somebody. They had to beg him. He was too sure something will happen. I said, my God, see the life people are living. See the people, the demons Christians are facing. Can you imagine if it is you they raise charm for? What will you do? Ajapa. Because it's easy to say, I know who I am. I know who I am. I am what God says I am. I am Asheni. But when the rubber meets the road, can you stand? You will not be able to stand if you are a fair weather Christian. Because it is what you eat that will make you fly. But you see, carnal Christians, they are not interested in process. They want quick fixes. I'll say it again, it's one of the ways to know carnal Christians. They don't have any interest in process. They only want quick fixes. He wants a quick fix. He's like an addict. He wants a fix. He wants to get high quickly. You see, because the idea of addiction is the fact that a person doesn't want to grow and go through the process of true happiness. He wants to just take a pill or sniff something and get high suddenly. And that's why he kills them suddenly. So a carnal Christian is like that. He looks for quick fixes. He never wants process. He doesn't want to go through discipleship. Don't yoke yourself with people like that. What they do is this: they truncate your journey with God. They truncate your journey. They jeopardize your journey with God. So be not unequally yoked. Be not unequally yoked. The next instruction to singles: serve the Lord. Serve the Lord. Serve the Lord. And like I said to you, if you are married, this also applies. Don't be a married person that your service of God is now in the past. You are an ex-steward, ex-worker, ex-firebrand believer, ex-tongue talker, ex-soul winner. What a bad description. You shouldn't be like that. The fact that you are now married, what should be happening in your marriage is that the fire you once had as a single should burn better now. Not that the fire should die. Marriage is not designed to kill your passion for God. Marriage should be a place where that passion is fired up again to another level. So if you're married, take this as a challenge. Serve the Lord. 1 Corinthians 7 verse 32. But I would have you without carefulness. He that is unmarried careth for the things that belongeth to the Lord, how he may please the Lord. If you are single, serve God with your time. Serve God with your life. As a matter of fact, those of you who are single, you should never let it be that a married person is serving Jesus more than you. Because you have more free time in terms of the fact that you don't have as much responsibility as a married person. Kids, a spouse. So what are you doing with your time? Serve the Lord. Serve the Lord. Paul goes on in verse 34. There is a difference also between a wife and a virgin. Now, notice that the word virgin means you're married. The unmarried woman, that's the virgin, careth for the things of the Lord, that she may be holy, both in body and in spirit. But she that is married careth for the things of the world, how she may please her husband. That tells you again, marriage is a worldly thing. Not in a bad sense. It's not a heavenly thing. Marriage is a worldly thing. So when you're kissing your wife, you are being worldly. In a good way. So when you get up tonight, those of you who are married, just tell your wife, say, baby, let's be worldly. Let's do some worldliness in Christ. He says when a woman is married, she has to think about that. When a man is married, he has to think about that. And he's not saying those things are bad, but he's just saying comparatively. Did you see that? That the man who is single, you don't have that responsibility. The woman who is single, you don't have that responsibility. So when you're single, serve God. Serve God with your whole heart. And so I go further this morning by showing you what courtship is not. And then I'll tell you what to do in courtship, and then we'll wrap it up there. What courtship is not. In education, they say one of the ways to know what something is to first of all know what it is not. Number one, courtship is not where you change people. Courtship is not for changing people. Courtship is where you know each other. You are not in courtship to change each other. You are in courtship to know each other. No human being has the capacity nor the responsibility to change another human being. It is God who changes people. And it has to be God because he is the one who has all the patience to wait for them to change. So courtship is not a time to change people. So don't get into a courtship now and yet you're thinking in your mind that when I get into courtship with them, I'll stay long enough in courtship to get him born again, to get him filled with the Holy Ghost, to get him to grow spiritually, and to get him to even overtake me in my spiritual growth so that he can be our head. Master planner. Look at you. That's not the purpose of courtship. That is not what courtship is about. It's a place you get to know each other. Because it's good for you to know, to a large extent, important things about the person you are prospecting for marriage. Number two, courtship is not marriage. Courtship is not marriage. And I believe a lot of single people need to be reminded of that. Courtship is not marriage. Courtship is where you get prepared for marriage. It is not marriage itself. No matter how serious your courtship, you are still single. No matter how serious it is, you are still single. So stop don't start wearing ashwabi. Don't start doing anko. You are still single. You are still single. Courtship is not marriage. Sometimes you ask people, who are the single people? And you say, no, people who are in courtship, they won't raise their hand. You are still single. Let me look around you, tell somebody, say, you're single, brother. You know, if you are single, you are single. Though. If the person is married, don't say you're single. Don't curse them. Number three, courtship is not a time to eliminate uniqueness. Rather, it is a time to celebrate uniqueness. It is not a time to eliminate your uniqueness. It is a time to celebrate your uniqueness. So don't become less of who you are so that you can marry somebody. You look at some courtship, they are busy suppressing each other. So you see a lady, she's pretending to be who she's not. So she's suppressing her true identity because she's trying to please him at all costs so that he can marry her at all costs. Have you heard those kind of stories where the guy says, well, you were not like this when we were courting. She was hiding certain things, suppressing her true personality so that she can be married by that guy. Don't do that to yourself. In some cases, some people you squeeze yourself and till you almost totally obliterate your personality because you're trying to please somebody. Whoever you need to eliminate your identity in order to please them, that person is not worth your future. And you are trying too hard. If it is God's will for you to be with a person, you will not have to deny or destroy your identity to be with them. Now, I'm not saying that you should be lascivious, and if you have areas to change and grow up, and then you start saying, take me the way I am or leave me, no. But I'm saying your real uniqueness, what makes you you. You can't be altering that for somebody. You can't alter who you are. Marriage is for two whole, complete people. So you've got to enter into the relationship with your full self. So courtship is not a time to eliminate uniqueness. It is a time to celebrate uniqueness. What makes a courtship, a marriage beautiful is that we are two different people. Did you see that? Two different, distinct people. I always say this over the years. If the two of you are the same, one of you is not necessary. If the two of you are the same, one of you is not necessary. What is the point of marrying somebody like me? What's the point? I'm already me. The joy of a relationship is that you are married to somebody who is not like you. Did you see that? And that's why you see, a wife, God said to Adam, you see, God gave him a wife that will be agreeable. Suitable means agreeable. It doesn't mean the same. It means two different people who will agree together. And that's the beauty of it. And that's why be careful, those of you who are already married, stop trying to make your wife like you. Stop trying to make your husband like you. Because the more you make your spouse like you, the less exciting your marriage will be. Oh boy. It's one of the recipes for a boring marital life. You keep dominating and conquering your spouse until they become exactly like you. The two of you will get bored. Your life will be a life of boredom. But the exciting thing is the fact that your spouse is different. The amazing thing, though, is that that difference annoys you. But the annoyance is the excitement. That's the excitement about it. I like to put the lid of the toilet down. She likes to put it up. That's fun. Glory to God. Let's enjoy life. The day we both put it that way together, no more fun. You're spoiling the fun. Tell them, I said, don't be a killjoy. Cause some disruptions. I like to put things where they ought to be. She puts things anywhere. That's the fun. Sometimes when that happens that I get my first opportunity to have my emotions high in a day. Until then, everywhere is just calm. Then I want to comb my hair and I'm looking for my comb. I say, my love, where's my comb? She said, is it me that took it? Now that's excitement. You already have the idea of it. That was a parable. The meaning of a parable is with the person who told it. If you don't know what we are talking about, forget about it. No, let's use King James Version. Let he that is ignorant remain ignorant still. Did you see that? So courtship is not the time to eliminate uniqueness. Number 4, courtship is not a reward. It is work. Courtship is not a reward, it's work. You get from it what you put into it. Some people are thinking in their mind, I've been serving Jesus from when I was in GSS 1. When I was just 11 years old. Now I am 28. Oh, I'm waiting for harvest. Oga, courtship is not a harvest. It's not a harvest. It's not a harvest. Courtship is a place where you put work into it. What you make of it is what you will get from it. Let me even say to you, the fact that you prayed and you are certain that this is your beloved, and you got all the confirmations, is not automatic ticket to a blissful relationship. Every marital relationship, every human relationship is work. So let me say that again. All human relationships is work. There is no human relationship that will thrive of its own self. Even when God brings people to your life by divine orchestration, you still have to work. You still have to work. They came by divine orchestration, but you must show some kindness to each other. You must look after each other. You must be selfless towards each other. If you stop putting the work in, then there will be nothing to show for it anymore. What you make of your relationships is what you will get from it. So courtship is not a reward. So dear single sister who has been serving Jesus, dear single brother who have been very consecrated and committed to God, God is not about to reward you with a courtship or with a life partner. You've got to choose and then start the work. and start the work and start working. It's the reason sometimes you hear of two good people that everybody knows they are fantastic people individually, but their relationship never worked out. Because sometimes they enter with the wrong mentality. Oh, we've been good all our lives. God has to reward us with a fantastic relationship. Oh, no, it's not a reward. Tell them, say it's work. Come on, say work. And there's a side note I have here before I go into what to do in courtship. Because a lot of people are looking for beauty. You are nobody's ex. It's true. Haters can hate. Potatoes can potate. You are dripping glory. Oh, hospital, nothing but drip. So you say you are dripping glory. Are you a patient? But there's nothing wrong with beauty. However, beauty is not everything. Beauty cannot be the basis for a marital choice. Beauty cannot be the basis for marital choice. Hear what the Word of God says about it. Proverbs 31:30. Favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain. Beauty is vain. Did you hear that? Vain. It means it's not substantial enough. It's a good thing, no doubt. But he's saying it's vain, meaning it cannot be a substance upon which you build for marriage or for any lasting relationship. He says, but a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. And I was saying to you, similar to what Peter said in 1 Peter 3, you know, that fear of the Lord is of the heart, reverence of the heart. And that's what Peter says. He said, it is the ornament of a meek and a quiet spirit, which before God is of great price. Did you see that? So you don't just get carried away by the face. You got to pay attention more to what is in the heart. A lot of people have beautiful faces but stinking hearts. Hearts that have no regard for the Lord, nor for the things of the Lord. So pay attention. You can be easily deceived on the surface. Samuel entered the house of Jesse and he saw Eliab, handsome looking young man, tall, square shoulder, and looks at him and he says, behold the anointed of the Lord. And God said to him, I have rejected him because I don't look as man looks. And that's what Isaiah said in Isaiah 55. My ways are not your ways. My thoughts are not your thoughts. As high as the heavens are from the earth, so are my ways from your ways and my thoughts from your thoughts. But glory to God, in Christ, we have the mind of Christ. And so we can think like God. We can discern like God. So we cannot be fooled by people's faces. They can talk nice, look nice, smell nice, but we will see beyond the niceness and look right into their heart. Every child of God has the ability to discern. The Spirit of God inside you can look beyond the surface. So dear single brother, dear single sister, be discerning. Be very discerning. Be very discerning. So what do you do in courtship? Number one, build friendship. And like I said, this is also for those who are married. Give me the freestyle. Build friendship. Some of you in marriage, you stopped building friendship. You should never stop doing those things. So for those who are single and you're already in courtship, or those who are yet to get into courtship, these are the things to do in courtship. Build friendship. How do you build friendship? So I'm not going to just drop points for you. I'm going to tell you how. How do you build friendship? Number one, have meaningful conversations. Have meaningful conversations. The way to build friendship, have meaningful conversations. Spend time talking to each other. Talk about meaningful things. Don't talk surface things. You know, people with whom you speak about surface things cannot become deep friends with you or strong friends with you. The way you build strong friendship is by having deep conversations. I said again, the way you build strong friendships is by having deep conversations, not surface conversations, but deep conversations. And by deep conversations, I'm not talking about just trying to sound deep. I'm talking about real issues. Opening your heart to each other. Hiding nothing from each other. Number two way to build friendship, be honest with each other. Be honest with each other. If you're going to build friendship, be honest. Be honest about who you are. Be honest about what you have. Be honest about what you dislike. If you're going to build friendship, be honest. Like I said, those of you who are married, you must pay attention to this and practice this even more. Be honest with each other about who you are, what you have, and what you dislike, and all the important things. Number 3, if you're going to build friendship, be transparent. Be transparent or vulnerable. There is no friendship without vulnerability. Yes, friendship is a risk. It comes with a risk of being hurt. But let me say to you, the risk of being hurt in friendship is more affordable than the smallness of being isolated from everybody. Because you cannot possibly achieve anything great with your life in isolation. You must have friends. You just have to choose carefully. So the risk is worth it. And there is no way you can make friends with people if you are not vulnerable to them. Every friendship will bring with it a demand for vulnerability. So if you're going to build friendship, be vulnerable to each other. Next way to build friendship, forgive each other and forget hurts. If you're going to build friendship, forgive each other and forget hurts. Whenever you're hurt, whenever something happens between the two of you, forgive. Your friendship ends where your forgiveness ends. And every time you choose to forgive, you've given your relationship a chance to go to a higher level. So forgive each other and forget hurts. You know, there's a Yoruba saying that says, if we don't forget what happened yesterday, we will never have somebody to play with today. And that's the truth. Next way to build friendship, create a free atmosphere with each other. Create a free atmosphere. There cannot be friendship where there is no free atmosphere, where the atmosphere is tense. Create freedom in the atmosphere of your friendship, in the atmosphere of your courtship, so that friendship can thrive. And a free atmosphere means an atmosphere without judgment, without sanction. A place where there is no fear of judgment or sanction. You know, you can imagine where you see something wrong in your partner's life, but you're afraid to say it because if you say it, they're going to get mad at you and they'll keep bringing it up. If you do that to your partner, you will eventually have a partner who never says anything again. And that will make your courtship pointless. A friend is somebody who has the freedom to tell you when you are doing wrong, and he is not afraid that you will use that to punish him. Like silent treatment. Are you the kind of person that when your friends confront you, you shut them out of your life? For weeks, for months. Then you're a bad friend if you're doing that. Create a free atmosphere. Did you see that? Where your friend can talk to you freely and tell you how they feel about things. Next, if you're going to build friendship, be generous to each other. Be generous to each other. Friends share things, share their life, share their resources. Next, be kind, affectionate. Ephesians 4:32. Be ye kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God for Christ's sake hath forgiven you. So be kind if you're going to build friendships. I'm telling you ways to build friendship in courtship. The last one, be fond of each other. Be fond of each other. And notice all these things I'm saying to you, they are not things limited to romantic relationships. This is just friendship. This is how to be a friend, to build friendship. Simple way to build friendship. Have meaningful conversations. Be honest with each other. Be transparent, be vulnerable. Forgive each other. Create a free atmosphere. Be generous. Be kind. Be fun. Many people don't know how to build friendships. And that's why a lot of Christians don't have friends. They only have a couple of people with whom they speak Christianese. How are you? Blessed. Glory. Even when they are watching football match, and of course, Man City score and win the Premiership and the Champions League. I say, glory! Or Gafi, glory, let me. Go! Someone else will say, oh, go, Lancer, oh, go, Lancer. You know what I'm saying? I have friends that you guys can just come down to earth. Now, I'm not saying talk vulgar things, but friends that you can just, like they say, be real. He said, guy, how far? That's what they say, far above principality, calm down. I told you, don't be extreme. I'm telling you, this is one of the reasons why many Christians don't have real friends. He said, guy, how far? And I say, far above principality and power. Far away. If you keep talking like that, only angels will be your friends. So, number one thing to do in courtship, therefore, is to build friendship. Number two thing to do in courtship is to build bonds, not intimacy. Bonds, bonds, like James Bond. Build bonds, not intimacy. Not intimacy. Intimacy must be reserved for marriage. Did you see? It must be anticipated. This anticipation spices up your courtship. So don't get intimate in courtship, but bond in courtship. Bond with each other. How do you bond? Go on outings. Outings like what? Programs, parks. So you see now, it's not only church program, but church program is part of it. Come for FAQs together, go for church services together, attend conferences together, attend seminars, workshops together. It's very good. Because you see, fun is not only when you are doing fun things. You can be having fun when you are doing serious things together in a fun way. So go on outings, and I'm giving you examples of outings, programs, parks. Go to parks. Go to parks. At least our nation has not become that bad yet, where people can be kissing and having sex with each other in broad daylight in front of people. I think it's even a crime in Nigeria. In case you don't know, it's a crime. So if you go to a park, no matter how tempted you are, the environment will give you sense. And yet you can have fun in the park. You know, playing, you know, have a doing like mumu, you know, chase each other, you know, just run and say, wait now, wait now. And the people are looking at you and say, oh, damn, man, only you want to give me all the way. You'll be running. And you can see that obviously the guy can run faster, but he's now doing slow motion. I'm going to help you now sing Yemi, my lover. Yemi, my lover. You know, go to the park, play on the swing. You know, let her sit down, push her, but don't push her too much. You go and fall down. You know, push her, and then she's coming back. You catch her, you push her, you know. You know, all those things you didn't play when you were little. Love will give you opportunity. Go to the cinema. Did you see that? Go visit family and friends. That's part of how to bond. Go visit family and friends. Where you go and then, you know, they're asking you guys questions about yourself, you know, and then you guys are talking about yourselves. So, you know, all those trivia they do, you know, so who sleeps much? Who talks much? Who comes late? Who, you know, and I say, you. You know, that all those very mumucious, but in a righteous way things. Amen. All right. If you don't know that love make mumu out of people, then you're not ready for love. Love is not for Van Damme. You don't understand? If you want to continue to be an Schwarzenegger, you can never be in love. You have to be forming hard. Serious like let us pray. Okay? You can't be in love. You have to loosen up. Yeah, you do mumu things. I mean, you are eating like this, like say, wait now, let's do something. Now, you let your hand cross my hand. Then you will now cross it together. Then you will now come to my mouth, come to my mouth. What is all this? What's the meaning of all this? For goodness sake. Oh my God. I remember when Mom and I were in courtship, and then she would come, she tried to rub my head. Touch not my anointed, my friend. What's all this? Oh my God. And that's how you build bonds. Play. Allow your beloved to yab you. And that's not the time to be saying, I reject that. It's I reject it. I am who God says I am. Oh my God. You know those serious Christian brothers? Your baby is trying to play with you. She's just, you know, teasing you. Just teasing you and say, see your head. Yeah? See your head like Popo. Say, no, I forbid it. My head shall not lack oil. I shall be anointed with fresh oil. Oh, God, just accept to be papa for this minute. Oh, my goodness. Because that's how you bond. If everything is too serious, you will never bond. You see, because if you are meeting only on serious points, bonding will not take place. Your relationship will be occupational. It will be occupational. Did you see that? Another way to build bonds is to engage in tasks together. Engage in tasks together. Tasks like reading, like prayer, like intellectual tasks, community volunteering initiatives. You want to volunteer in the community for NGOs, volunteer in the church for a special event. By the grace of God, May 27, we're going to have a special event for kids. It's a good time to volunteer. You and your beloved just come around, in the community, at your workplace. You see, when you engage in those kind of things together, you see there is bonding going on. It's the reason why sometimes you see how people make friends from their place of work. Because when you engage in a task with somebody, you have a common goal. That common goal begins to cause your hearts to knit. So that's how you build bonds. Another one, do noble things together. Do noble things together. Noble things like serving in church, doing charity, helping loved ones. Charity, for example, you want to go, to a motherless baby's home on your birthday, and you guys just plan something together, and you just go ahead, give some gifts to motherless babies, to orphans, and all of that. Or you have a loved one who needs some help. Did you see? Maybe an aged uncle or parent or something like that, and you guys just go there once in a while, maybe once in a month, you just go together, you just go, show them some love, spend some time with them, gist with them, make them feel happy. The happiness you bring in the face of that, loved one, there's something it does to the two of you. It brings you together because you've achieved something noble together. It causes your bonds to get stronger. So number 2 thing to do in courtship is to build bonds, not intimacy. Number 3 thing to do in courtship, clarify your goals and your aspirations for the future. In courtship, clarify your goals and aspirations for the future. Like I said, those who are married, this still applies. Keep clarifying your goals and aspirations for the future. How do you do this? Let your direction in life be clearer and make it clear to each other. Where are you headed in life? What do you want to do in the next 5 years? What's your direction? All the things you're doing, the resources you have. Did you see? To what end? What do you want to use them for? You're doing a master's degree. What do you want to use it for? Just trying to make it simple for you to understand what your direction means. Number 2 is your passion. So in clarifying your goals and aspirations for the future, you got to clarify your passion. What are you passionate about? That is, what is your drive? What drives you? What makes you think? And sometimes, like they say, what makes you cry? What makes you cry? What is your heartbeat, really? Did you see that? You got to find that. You got to find that and make it clear to each other. If you're going to marry somebody, you've got to know what drives them, not just what they drive. Number 3 is your vision, which is your bottom line. That is, at the end of it all, what does it come down to for you? That is, what are the things that you will say, if these things are done, then you are fulfilled in life? What's your vision? And I dare say I've taught you that in January, just emphasize it to you. For every believer, your major vision must be God's vision. And the vision of God is world evangelization. He wants all men to be saved. 1 Peter 2 and verse 4. Who will have all men to be saved? You've got to embrace God's vision. And I'll tell you that because, you see, any vision that man can conceive has an expiry date. I've seen the greatest of men having to revision again. So one of the greatest pastors in the world, about 7 years ago, and he began talking about pioneering again. Pioneering again. They have churches all over the world. The whole world sings their songs. And he said, you know what? I came to a point in my life and my ministry where I realized that I've come to the end of the vision I've been living for. And it looked as if I was going to die. And God said, it's not time to die yet. It's time to dream again. So every vision that a man has an expiry date. Man was made so great by God that man can achieve his vision. But one thing is certain, no man can achieve the vision of God and complete it. So the vision of God must be your ultimate vision. You know why? As people are dying, they say 150,000 people on the average die daily. Globally. So also are children being born. And what that means is that on a daily basis, there are people coming into the world that need to be lighted by the light of the world, which is Christ, by the gospel. So there is no end until Jesus comes to this vision of God for world evangelization. It must be your primary vision. Every other vision must be secondary to that. So in courtship, you got to make that clear. Then finally, your values. In clarifying your goals and aspirations for the future, you must clarify your values. And Mom said a lot about that, so I believe that suffices. Number 3 thing, or is it 4 now, to do in courtship, number 4, is to harmonize your goals and your aspirations for the future. Harmonize your goals and aspirations for the future. How do you do that? Number 1, find or create meeting points. If you cannot find where your goals meet, you can create it. So you find or create meeting points for your goals and aspirations for the future. Number 2, make allowances to accommodate each other's goals. Make allowances to accommodate each other's goals. I know there's a way many people think that when you marry, when you're married for the woman, that your life is only to pursue the goal of the man you married. Right? Now, the truth is, that is not really balanced. Now, in most cases, as the vision of the person who is the leader is fulfilled, it should automatically create room for the vision of the person supporting him. Are you hearing what I'm saying now? So you must understand the order and balance to these things. Make allowances to accommodate each other's goals. Next, find ways for your individual goals to complement each other. So you see that this is work. Find ways for your individual goals to complement each other. Then the last one, take interest in each other's goals. Genuine interest. Be genuinely interested. Think about how the goal of your partner will become a reality. Take genuine interest in it. Number 5 thing to do in courtship. Harmonize your, I've said that. Support each other's goals. Support. How do you do that? Cheer each other on. Number 2, be a sounding board. That is, give honest feedback. Give honest feedback. Imagine if your beloved says they want to be a public speaker and they make a lot of grammatical blunders. You should find a loving way to truthfully tell them, baby, you have a problem with past tense. Now, a loving way to say it, there's a difference between criticizing and feedback. And one of the ways to differentiate it is the fact that when and where and how you say it. When, where, and how you say it will differentiate between criticism and feedback. When you criticize a person, you really don't care whether their time is right or not, whether the place is right or not. You don't even care how you say it because you're trying to criticize. You're not trying to build them up, you're trying to tear them down. But you see, if you're trying to give feedback, you're going to be careful for timing. Is it the right time? Right time would mean, is the person in the right frame of mind? Then right place would mean you don't want to say it in public. You want to call them aside to give them that feedback. And then you find a loving way to say it. And how do you find a loving way to give feedback? Especially when you're trying to give feedback about something they are not doing right. Start with something they are doing right first. Say, man, you speak. I mean, it's so evident God has given you utterance. Oh, my God. See heavy utterance. You know, the way you speak, I sense it that there's an anointing. Now, don't tell lies, but I sense it, there's an anointing upon your life. Wonderful. In fact, the one you said, the speech you did 2 weeks ago, I was blessed. Look at my notes. I took these notes. You see, however, you know, as I was listening to you, I saw that. Now, if a lady is the one trying to give this feedback, don't start with this phrase. Don't say, we need to talk. No. Don't, see, if you're a lady, don't ever do that. When you say we need to talk to a man that you're in a relationship with, see, his BP has gone up. Anxiety has taken over his life. Say, what did I do? He begins to play back the last 1 week. And his man said, what did I do? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. When he first run through what he did, then he will now go again and start. You see, what did I not do that I should have done? So never start with that phrase. So you find the right way to present feedback. And listen to me, you must learn to receive feedback without being defensive, especially from your spouse. The moment you put up defense when your spouse is giving you feedback, you are shutting down their voice. Your husband should be able to tell you the truth. Your wife should be able to tell you the truth. Your beloved should be able to tell you the truth. Everybody else may not be able to tell you. Let your spouse be able to tell you. But that does not mean you should criticize. And that brings to the next point. Never criticize each other. Criticism is not a way to support anybody. As a matter of fact, criticism from the closest people to you can be so destructive. The number next, be thoughtful in your support for each other's goals. That is, take initiative. In other words, think about things and ways to support your partner, not only what they ask for. Don't wait until they ask you, oh, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? Always take initiative. Think about it. Thoughtfulness means that you have them in your mind. You know, the psalmist says concerning God, he says his thoughts towards us are so high and they are so many. So it means he's thinking of you. That's the reason why God does miracles that make you wonder. Because God takes initiative of how to bless you, how to support you. You should do the same for your spouse. Spend time thinking, how can I support my spouse? How can I put a smile on their face? How can I make this their goal achievable? Take initiative. Tell your neighbor, say, take initiative, take initiative. Come on, talk to your neighbor. Don't be afraid of them. Say, hello, neighbor, I need you to take initiative. Number next, I don't know, is it 6 or 7 thing to do in courtship? Develop shared or common friendships. Develop shared or common friendships. I'll just rush through the rest. My time is up already. Develop shared or common friendships. Number next, develop shared or common interests. Courtship is the time for that. Develop shared or common interests. Common interests. Did you see that? Common interests. And I have a question for those who are married. From these 2 points I just gave. Who have you met and genuinely made friends or acquaintance with because of your spouse? The second question. What things have you started to enjoy because of your spouse? Things you did not used to enjoy before. But now you started enjoying them just because you are married to who you're married to. Now this goes to the married. And those of you in courtship already, what interest have you adopted from your beloved? What friends have you adopted from your beloved? And you know, it starts with little things. Because you see, if you're going to have meaningful relationships with any human being, you must be ready to make adjustments. You can't always do what you want to do and yet be happy in marriage. There are times where you've got to do what you're not really happy to do, what you really don't like to do. You know, since we got married, I've had to develop interest in following mom to the boutique. And so she chooses dresses and she comes out. How does it look? Fine. At first. But now, I'm genuinely interested. She will tell you, I choose literally everything she wears. Literally. Yeah. If she goes to the boutique and she wants to choose, if I say I'm not going to buy, recently she wanted to buy, and I said, I'm tired. Go inside. I will stay inside the car. I will be here. So I stayed. She said, okay. She went. I thought I was free. Then my phone rang. Green. Please come now. I've chosen some. I will not take your time. In fact, there's another man here waiting for his wife. I say, oh my God. So I had to go inside. And then she just comes out, she looks at us and I said, this one. That one. Okay. And now I've become an expert. Yeah, it's a good place to celebrate me. Because if you are your husband here, you can see me, I can give you some notes. Because I grew up, I didn't have a sister. So what's my business with women clothes? What's my anything you like wear? But I've developed the interest because of my wife. So brother, you may not like, fashion design or hairdressing. You may become hairdresser when you marry. Oh, come on, oh, onidiri. Peter onidiri. You be palming hair, plaiting hair. Because you must pick up interest. And I'll say this to you. If this idea of adopting interest is one-sided in your marriage is not healthy. Your marriage is not healthy. In my house now, everybody is a Man City fan. She has a Man City jersey. Because after last week's experience, I didn't watch the match and we lost. Yesterday, I sat down. I followed the match with my anointing from the beginning to the end. And when I saw that it was looking difficult for us to score a goal, I released anointing. They had to make a mistake. Oh, God be praised forever. So you got to adopt interest, things you don't like. Let me say to you, those things communicate love to your partner. That there is something they didn't used to enjoy, but because of them. Did you see that now? You now began to enjoy it. So develop shared and common interests. Develop shared and common friendships. When you marry a person, you must be ready to adopt some of their friends. Or at least make acquaintances with them. All right, the next thing to do in courtship is help each other grow. Help each other grow. Help each other grow. Help each other grow spiritually. Help each other grow intellectually. How do you do that? By praying for each other, by praying with each other. Encourage, facilitate, and enhance each other's establishment in the local church. I'll say that again. Encourage, facilitate, and enhance each other's establishment in the local church. Like Mom said earlier on, you can't marry somebody, or you want to marry someone, and you say, I love you, but I don't like your pastor. I don't like your church. That means you're saying to them, you don't like where they're coming from. Whoever hates your pedigree, truly, I take that quote, that's a powerful quote. Whoever hates your pedigree or rejects your pedigree does not want your future. In fact, they have rejected your future already. You should rather support each other, you see, encourage each other, facilitate each other, and enhance each other's establishment in the local church. Now, I was speaking to a pastor, came up from out of town during the week, and we're just talking. I said to him, a lot of people don't realize there is a lot of disintegration in the family system in the world today, in this generation. And the only hope for any family to stand today is the local church. I'll say it again. The family system has been badly battered by the system of the world in this generation. Families disintegrated all over the place. Now, anybody who wants to have a strong family, your only hope is the local church. It's a local church. By the grace of God, in May, that's May 29, I believe it's a Sunday, right? May 29, we're going to have the vow renewal service. Listen, it's going to be a wedding party. See, we will do like we are doing wedding reception. Husband and wife, you will come as if it's your wedding day again. But please, women, don't wear white gown. Just, But we will come like that. There will be one bear, food, decorations, everything. It will be like your wedding day all over again, only that it will be bigger and better. Because what you celebrate is what will grow. And in this church, we will keep celebrating marriages, celebrating families, It's our family weekend, May 27 to 29. Write it down now, put it in your calendar. Or write it where your spirit man will see it. Because the world is attacking the family. Attacking the family. When you see a man saying he's going to have a child with another man, and they want to marry man and man, it is an attack against the family system. A woman wants to be a husband to another woman. It's an attack against the family system. It's the devil's agenda. And if you're going to build a strong family in these days that we live in, you had better be planted in a local church. You might not have heard me say this, and I'm surprised I've not been saying it emphatically well. I heard Pastor Brian Houston of Hillsong Church. He's been saying this for many years. The local church is the hope of this world. Because that's where the people who carry the glory of God are. In a family unit. It's the hope of this world for family to survive. It's the hope of this world for sanity to remain in human society. It is said that in the next couple of years, there's going to be another generation after Gen Z. It's going to be called a post-truth generation. A generation that will place feelings above facts and truth. So that it won't matter to them whether something is right or not, as long as they feel like it. And we've got to build strong family systems ahead of that. Are you hearing what I'm saying now? So you got to encourage and facilitate and enhance each other's establishment in the local church. Anybody who trifles with the local church today and says they want to remain married, they are joking. They're joking. They're really joking. They're really joking. And that's what I will stop with today because of our time.